this, they're different. Hi everyone, and welcome to Fiber Dragon. My name is Jessica, also known as Ezekial Dragon, and this is Fiber Dragon episode number 22. I am off to a stellar start. It is episode 22. Yeah, let's just get on into the good stuff, because already I'm all flustered. I don't know what's happening. So I messed with my camera settings. Hopefully it's better. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so today I have a finished object for you. I have, ta-da, my healing socks. This is a basic sock pattern that I used using Summer Lee for the basic sock, and then I used Knitty Natty's elongated toe. And this progress keeper, which is going to be really hard to see, I found my camera does not focus well, but this progress keeper is where I was. And I did have some gaming this weekend, so I was able to go all the way up and into the decreases. I will say, so I do Kitchener stitch on the toe, which normally I love. The rhythmic of it, rhythmicality. Anyway, it's so rhythmic doing it, and I normally love it. But I did discover that because I was gaming, I screwed it up. I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So it's a little bit wackadoodle. Nobody's going to be able to tell it's right on the tip of the toe, and if it becomes an issue I can always unravel it and fix it, but so Kitchener stitch is harder to do when you're also focusing on something else, I found. So yeah, progress keeper is right there, and I got these done. So there is a lot of emotion, like I've talked about with these socks. It has been a wild ride. I'm very excited to wear these, to think about where I've come. It has been 11 months pretty much since the golf cart accident, when I had originally been working on these socks. And it's a journey. I am looking at these, so when I was working, look at this, they're different. So I don't think I did the elongated toe on this sock. I think only one of them has the elongated toe. You know what? I already had plans because I have so much yarn left over because I only made one sock from it because I had to buy a whole new thing. I have so much yarn left over. I was already going to make another pair. I think for just my mental sanity, I needed to get this done, and we're just gonna let it go. And if they don't fit exactly the same, it's fine. It really is. So I don't think I did an elongated toe for the first sock. I think I started doing that afterwards. Oh my gosh. Anyway, they're done. Yeah, I don't know if they've been a journey. I am excited to wear them. I guess I'll let you know if they fit completely differently or not. I imagine that's a pretty significant, look at that. That's a pretty significant difference. So I'm assuming they're going to fit differently. Oh my gosh, I don't think I even noticed that. I had noticed that I didn't think I did the elongated toe, but I did not notice how drastic that is. It's pretty drastic. So that elongated toe makes a difference if you were ever wondering. But I'm going to wear them anyway. I'll put them on. It's going to be fabulous. What else was I going to say about them? That's really it. To think back where I was in the golf cart, knitting on these, and how my life completely changed, pretty much literally in the blink of an eye. And now we're on the road to healing, and I'm starting to feel somewhat normal again, and it's good to have these done and to move forward. So I'm excited about these. I'll let you know if they drive me nuts, because I may have to, since I don't have the original yarn to make the original one an elongated toe, which I prefer, I guess I would have to rip out the newer sock and make that just a regular toe. So I'll let you know how that goes. We'll see. Those were on my needles for, well, for a year. But this particular sock, just this one, was on my needles for 21 days. Part of that is it takes me longer to knit now, and part of it was just an emotional journey. And part of it was I wasn't gaming much lately because the games have been very sporadic lately. But that's okay. I talked about the pooling already, and it is what it is. I think my next set, though, to make them something totally different and not connected, I really do want to use some sort of contrasting color in the heels and toes. And because of all the colors in this sock, I could choose whatever I wanted. I could go completely rogue and do something not within the sock. I could do a brighter color of any of these. There's pinks, there's yellows, there's greens, there's blues. There's purple a little bit too. And so, you know, I don't think I can go wrong. I really don't. Ooh, purple might be cute. I was originally thinking yellow. I'll have to look because I don't have much purple in my stash. And it's a stash down year. All right, so my next work in progress, I've moved my notes down. And again, I'm not sure it's any better. We'll figure this out. Is my mermaid blanket. This is by Angie Hartley. The pattern is. And this has been on my needles for 9 days. So I'm going to hold it like this. Oh, cute. It shows up fairly well on camera, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay. And it's, let's see. I'm like mid-row. That's never good. That usually means I'm going to lose some stitches. So it's going to be hard for me to pull it out all the way and make it straight. Yeah, I just can't. Ooh. So, but I will hold this up for you. I did take this to a swim meet, so I did get some decent amount of progress on it. It is starting to get a little bit bigger and bulkier, so it's going to be harder to take out places to knit on, because I also took it out to a restaurant when I went out to eat with family that was visiting. But it's not there yet, but it's getting close. So one thing that I love is I'm holding 2 yarns together, and they are lightweight or DK weight. They are Yarn Bee Cotton Wheel Sparkle, Sugar Wheel Cotton Sparkle in the colorways Let It Go Flamingo and Twirls at Twilight. And one of the things that I love, first of all, you get this beautiful marled effect, which is great for mermaids, right? But I'm also getting the color changes happening. And they do happen somewhat abruptly for some of them, but it also fades nicely because the color changes are happening at different times in the separate skeins of yarn. So one thing that I'm loving is when I do get to one of these bigger color changes, I really feel like I've made progress. So when I was at a swim meet and I was like, yeah, I knew I could make it to a color change. See, I'm dropping stitches all over the place. This is so bad. Let me pick up stitches. Okay. I'm going to hold it here now. I really need to not drop stitches. What else can I say about this? So I took it to the swim meet. I did make decent progress on that. I did end up being a timekeeper at the swim meet for part of it, so that took up some time. The yarn is pretty soft and it feels good, and I think it's going to make a nice blanket. The only downside I'm going to say is the sparkly part, whatever it's made out of, plastic something, snaps very easily. There are times it'll get hooked up in my needles and it'll snap, but most of the time when it is snapped, it is either from me pulling it out or something happened when it was wound or something, because by the time I'm knitting it, it has already snapped. So I'm getting a lot, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, I'm getting a lot of these little flyaways is probably the best way to say it, that just show up everywhere. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. And then every once in a while when you're knitting, as you pull the yarn through your tensioning fingers, it will bunch up. So it'll have these like little bunches of the sparkle in one area, which I feel like can be a little scratchy sometimes. But overall, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It makes it very unique, that's for sure. And who cares, because that's sparkly mermaid tail. So yeah, I did say this has been on my needles for 9 days. And oh, I didn't put a progress keeper on last time because I had frogged it and only had a few stitches of the cast on. So I did all of this in a week. So that's pretty good. You can tell I was excited about this project. I still am. I think I'm going to put a progress keeper on it now, which I'm going to, my sister's, I'm not going to say it's her favorite animal, but my sister has always loved snakes. So I'm going to put my red-bellied snake progress keeper on there. I know it's blurry. I found the focusing on this particular camera is garbage. I can't do anything close up. It always has to be held back and to be in focus, and then you can't see anything that's tiny, which is knitting, is tiny. But that's okay. It is what it is. All right, so I am putting on the red-bellied snake progress keeper. And now that's ready to go for next week. All right. I do also, because I finished that sock, I decided to go ahead and have a cast on. So like I mentioned, I did have family visiting last week, and I had 2 of my nephews here. And they came and I said, look, would either of you like a handmade hat? And they both said yes. And I said, okay, so I have a stash of yarn, and I would love it if you could come over and choose out of that. That would be amazing. But if you don't like any of that, don't feel any pressure. I will still make you a hat. It just may be a little while before I can get to it. And they came over and they both looked through my yarn. They are so sweet. Both of them are creative people, but I don't think this is their creative medium, is yarn. So they were both so sweet. Looking through my stash, they chose some, and so I chose to cast on a hat for them. Now, I know in the land of YouTube or whatever, vlogging, it's probably not very exciting to hear from me that I am going to be doing yet another Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. But here's the reality, like a little bit of a reality check. I am not doing this for the, I don't know, fame? That's not... That's not even real. I'm just doing this as a fun little project. So for me and my knitting right now, my goal is to get my stash down, which I've talked about before, and to not unnecessarily spend money. So I have the pattern. Sorry, I dropped the knitting. So I have the pattern, the Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. I love it because it's so adaptable and warm and just a basic general hat that almost anybody can wear. So why would I deviate from that right now? And my nephews were able to find yarn in my stash that both of them liked enough that they would have a hat from it. So that's what I'm doing, and I think I'm going to be finding more excitement and joy of using this stuff up and having it gone than in trying something new all the time. So with that being said, I'm just going to call him, because I don't know if he wants his name mentioned, my Brunette nephew chose the VK yarns in the red-bellied snake. Oh, well, I just used that marker. Isn't that funny? So in the red-bellied snake, and for the second color, he chose the Malabring Machita yarn in the color Lotus. The nice thing about putting all this stuff in my stash log on Ravelry is I'd forgotten I had the tag, but I could just look it up when I didn't remember the yarn, which was fabulous. That was really great. So I recommend doing that if you have the time. So half the hat, he originally requested mostly this darker color and a little bit of the purples and blues. And I said, okay, so normally how I would make this hat is I would make it half and half, and then the brim will essentially fold up in whatever other color, and it folds in itself and you can have either. So he thought that was great. So that's what I'm gonna do, is half and half, and hopefully have enough yarn and not tons left over afterwards. So yeah, the downside is I pulled out size 1 needles because I knew I used size 1 for my socks. And I started to cast this on and I went, you know what? I don't feel like doing this in size 1, so I think I'm going to bump it up. I'm going to frog this. I just got the pinhole cast on done. You can't really see much of it. I'm going to go ahead and frog this. I'm not too far in. I think I was like on row 4. This has been on my needles for 1 day. I cast this on last night while I was playing a D&D computer game. So I'm just going to frog this and start on size 2. The nice thing though was I did cast on the pinhole cast on, because it has a pinhole cast on. I cast that on from memory, which I was so proud of myself for doing, because I did sit there for a good while getting it wrong, but I didn't look it up because I was busy playing the game. And so when I did look at, or I didn't look it up, but I did finally figure it out. It may not be entirely correct. Some of the stitches look a little big, so I think I did something wrong. But I don't care, I did it. So I'm not even gonna put a progress keeper in this because I'm frogging it, and I'm going to start over on size 2. It's a comfort thing. I think having the slightly bigger stitches helps in general. And I just didn't feel like stitching anything on size 1s right now, which is weird because I really like making socks. So yeah, that's been on my needles for 1 evening. And I'm excited to move forward with that. So that is all of my knitting. My next thing is my cross stitch. This is Octopus by Stitching Jules Designs. I have been working on this for 38 days. And you can see, I will put up, let's see, I already showed you. While I'm talking about it, I will put up a little clip of where I was. And you can see I have finished what is essentially the first third of the project. I started in the middle third, and I finished the first third of it, so I got the tentacles completed, and I have started working on the final third of the project, which is what I believe is called the mantle of the octopus, which is actually quite dense with stitches compared to the rest of the piece. So it's taking a little bit longer, but I did get, oh, I guess I should talk about I am using Cottage Garden threads in the color Ezekial. I am using 14 count Aida in the color Emerald Sea, which is dyed by Barefoot Needle Arts. Now I forgot where I was going with that whole thing. Oh well. So I did get really worried. So look, if you look here about how much fabric I have left, they recommend that you have a good couple inches for a border. So you'll see the edge of this tentacle. I've got a good couple inches to the side so that it'll make it easier for framing. At the top, I've probably got 1.5 inches, 2 inches. The bottom, I have plenty. Oh, you can't see that. The bottom, I have plenty from the lowest part. So when I started this, I started in the middle, and I counted all of the stitches on the fabric, and I started in what I thought was the middle. Well, my math and counting has never been spectacular. So once I got too far into it to frog it wasn't going to happen, I realized I was slightly over to this side, which I consider the right hand side of the fabric, because as I'm looking at it, it's on the right. But not much, maybe 1/2 inch. So I started to get really worried, because you have the mantle here, but there's still some tentacles that flare out here to the other side. And I started to get really worried that they weren't going to fit. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then I just went, well, calm down. They're just tentacles. So if they go off the page, it's fine. Your brain will fill in the empty spaces. It will be fine. So I decided to just crack on with it. We're finishing this puppy no matter what. And if the tentacles go off the page, then so be it. I'm really excited about this. I'm on the final third. I know I'm going to finish this soon. It is crazy to me that this has been worked on for 38 days. It does not feel like it's been that long. And as it's done in a monochrome, and it is definitely not full coverage at all in any stretch of the imagination, it goes really quickly. So because I'm becoming near the end of this, I love how this piece looks on camera. I'm not gonna lie, it looks so good. Because I'm becoming near the end of this, I started looking at another cross stitch that I want to do, and I have really been drawn in by the full coverage. But it scares me because I know myself. I don't like a lot of color changes. I don't like, I don't like the confetti stitches and things like that. So I did find a piece that I went ahead and got. I don't have the fabric for it yet. It is, so I mentioned I have done cross stitch before, but I have never worked on anything other than Aida, as far as I know. And this one suggests that you work on even weave. So I've been watching some videos about how to work on even weave, and I've also, so I haven't bought the fabric yet, and I don't have all the floss, although my mother-in-law is a cross stitcher, so she has a lot of DMC floss in her stash. So I will probably raid hers and then buy as needed. But I bought one that it is still not full coverage, because you don't do any of the background. And that wasn't something that I made a conscious choice of. I just enjoyed the pattern. And also, that was the designer's choice. So there was not a version that I was aware of that you put a background in. It is a dragon and fairy, which just fits into my overall enjoyment. And it is by Amy Brown. So that will be coming up, hopefully. I don't think I'll be getting to it by next week. I have too much to do. Oh gosh, somebody's doing stuff. I should wrap this up. That's going to be obnoxious. Wow. Okay. So, I'll pull that out. I do have a birthday coming up next month. Hopefully I'll get it started by then. I did want to talk a little bit about my gaming, but this is going to be really crazy, so I think I will wrap this up. I did get to play Pathfinder only. Our D&D game was postponed again, unfortunately, because players couldn't be there, and it's the final episode, and we want everybody there. And so I did play Pathfinder, where I got to play Brexa Craft, we were fighting a hag, and I was being very much a support character. I was offering buffs and hasting people, and it was really great. But there was this moment where the hag started to run away, and she was so much faster than all of us. And I decided to cut, instead of chase her, to cut a different direction through the house and like cut her off at the front. And I got the final blow in, and it was so exciting. Brexa Craft, the ghost, came to the rescue, and it was really cool. I was very happy with it. The crazy thing about fighting a hag is that they have a lot of the same spells as a witch, which is what I'm playing. And I went, well, isn't that interesting? A witch is the good guy, and a hag is the bad guy, and they have the same spells. How interesting. I just, we could get more into all that, couldn't we? Like all the semantics and craziness. But I'm not gonna. The other thing is what I'm reading. That noise is really bothering me, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I am reading, I'm listening to A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I will be listening to that for the rest of the month. And I am reading Same Beach Next Year, which I have brought up before. That is by Dorothea Benton Frank, I believe. Yes. And the book is cute and it's easy to read. I'm just not that into it, so it's very slow going for me. But hopefully I'll finish it soon. Anyway, I'm going to let you go because this is driving me nuts. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy crafting, happy gaming. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.